When I got the last message from my mom asking for a job, I already knew how I would respond. We don't have any openings, but I wish you the best of luck. Simple words, but inside me, a whole world. I didn't allow myself to add blame or resentment. No explanations, just the truth, brief and clear. My name is Ava Bennett. I grew up in a town you've probably never heard of, Plainfield, Indiana. One of those suburbs where everyone knows everything about everyone and looks, well, that's everything. My mom, Lorraine, was that kind of beauty. Imagine a prom queen from the 80s who became the president of the Parent-Teacher Association. Big blonde curls, bright lipstick. A woman with a smile like life was one big commercial. Everyone adored her, especially when I stood beside her. I remember looking in the mirror when I was 8, pulling my cheeks and asking, why is my face wrong? I had crooked teeth. My face would flush and break out in spots. Soft, round features that never seemed to catch the light like Mom's did. And she noticed. Oh, she noticed. You don't have my cheekbones, she'd sigh, passing by like I was a stranger, not her daughter. Or she'd say in front of her friends at the salon, Ava takes after her dad. Well, what can you do? The phrase, well, what can you do in our state, was just a polite way of saying, there's no hope for her. At family dinners, she'd compare me to my cousins. Look at Rachel, always flawless, such natural beauty. Ava, maybe you should borrow her blows? It would suit you. Maybe she didn't mean harm. Maybe. But when you hear things like that over and over, you start to believe them. You start thinking the problem is you. That your reflection needs fixing, not acceptance. I remember when I was about 11, I tried to surprise her. Curled my hair, put on makeup. Naturally, it looked terrible. My hands shook, eyeliner smudged, hair sticking up everywhere. Mom came in, looked me over, and said, Sweetie, don't try so hard. It only makes it worse. That night, I quietly washed off the makeup. I didn't cry, I just looked in the mirror and thought, if even Mom can't love my face, who will? Growing up with a mother who's ashamed of you makes you grow up fast. You learn to be a shadow, to laugh quietly, to speak only when you know you'll sound smart or cute, though even that might not save you. Lorraine never hit me. She didn't yell. She fed me, paid for my braces. But love? Real love, the kind that makes you feel seen, I had to make up. And I did. She loved compliments. Especially when someone said, Are you really Ava's mom? You look like sisters. She laughed like it was a joke, but her eyes shone. I wasn't jealous. Not really. I just wanted permission to feel beautiful, even once, from her, from anyone. But instead, I learned to shrink. They say childhood wounds heal. I disagree. They don't heal, they become bricks. And if you're not careful, those bricks become your foundation. I carried them through college, work, every time I tried to stand in front of a camera. And in every moment, I heard her voice in my head. Straighten your back. Don't slouch, your belly's showing. Are you sure you want to wear that? I was a child, and all my childhood I apologized for the face I got. But you know what comes with age? The understanding that you don't need permission to be. That true love starts inside you. And the voice in your head? You can rewrite it. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Because before I found my voice, I had to lose everything that made me stay silent. If I could erase one period of my life, I wouldn't hesitate for a second. School. Not just school, that years-long play where you're not even a supporting character, but the punchline. I was that girl, the one with the constantly flushed face, pimples, and awkward movements, wearing clothes that, according to my mom, had lit up the dance floor back in 1985. Picture this. It's 2008, a school hallway in Indiana, and you're walking in a plaid skirt down to your knees, with shoulder pads in your blazer and raspberry-colored leggings. And all because Mom said, This piece always brought me luck. You should be proud of your style. But style didn't help when the girls whispered behind my back or loudly asked, Did you pick that yourself, or did someone dare you to wear it? Then there was my body. According to Mom, it needed fixing. From 8th grade, she put me on fasting days. No bread, no sugar, once only buckwheat. She'd bring home magazines from the hair salon and point to the models, saying, "They don't have friend problems. Think about that." And I thought, for hours, lying in the dark, listening to the television click downstairs. Sometimes imagining waking up with a different face, clear, slim, like the actresses on the magazine covers. That I'd come to school and nobody would laugh. That I'd just disappear from the spotlight. But reality hit hard. I got on the bus and a boy shouted from the back seat, "Careful, don't sit on me, Mammoth." That stuck to me like a label. Mammoth. They made a statue of me in the snow with a big dot in the middle of my belly. They took pictures and posted them. I begged them to delete it. They laughed. I was alone. I had a friend, Jenna, but even she gave up in ninth grade, saying, "Ava, you just need to be normal, then they'll leave you alone." Normal. As if my existence was a design flaw. And when I came home, instead of comfort, I heard, "You don't stand up for yourself, so you get this." Or, "In my time, this wouldn't fly. I would have shown them all." Sometimes Mom looked at me like a stain on a white tablecloth. Not with anger, but with disappointment. As if I'd let her down by just existing. As if she got a defective model. But the worst phrase. One day, after an especially hard day, I came home in tears. I told her everything, hoping maybe this time she'd hug me. She listened, and quietly, tiredly said, "You should be grateful I even gave birth to you." I remember freezing, how suddenly it became very quiet. Like someone muted the world. Grateful? For humiliation? For pain? For shame at myself? I went to my room, closed the door, and sat on the floor. Saturday there a long time, without tears, just silence. From then on, I didn't share anymore. Not with her, not with anyone. I learned the lesson. Feelings are a luxury I was never allowed to have. I started wearing headphones even without music, just to block out the noise. I wrote poems in notebooks that no one read. I lived like a ghost just to somehow survive until graduation. And you know what's the cruelest irony? When I got my diploma with good grades and a restrained smile, Mom said, "See? I knew you'd make it. You just had a difficult character." Not the pimples, not the bullying. Character. Sometimes we are hurt not by those who want to harm us, but by those who think they're doing better. But I survived. Broken, but alive. And ahead was a new chapter. And there I decided who I wanted to be. And how my voice would sound. I always thought freedom was something grand. Like a movie scene. You're shouting with joy on top of a hill. The wind is blowing through your hair. And everything is in slow motion. But in my life, it was different. Freedom came quietly, with a bus ticket to Chicago and a suitcase that didn't contain a single thing bought by my mom. I chose a college as far from Indiana as possible, but still within my budget. Marketing and design the only things that stirred something inside me. I remembered secretly drawing logos in my notebook, posting collages on Tumblr, and dreaming that one day I could create something that would spark interest, not laughter. The first night in the dorm, I didn't sleep. Not because I was scared, but because, for the first time, I felt no one was judging me. No one was giving me sideways looks. No one was judging how I held a fork or what my chin looked like. I wasn't shining in classes, but I absorbed every word from the professors. I spent hours in the computer lab learning how to use Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop. And every time someone said, "You did that well," something inside me healed. But probably the most important thing was the people. Not perfect, not top Instagram heroes. But real, vulnerable, amazingly kind. My roommate, Maya, a future photographer, said to me in the first week, "Ava, you have such expressive eyes. It's amazing how you hide them behind your hair." For the first time in my life, I blushed not from shame, but from recognition. A month later, we had a group project. I suggested an unconventional visual concept for a social project. My hands were shaking. I expected someone to laugh. But one of the guys, Andrew, just nodded. "That's cool. For real." I left that meeting and cried. Just on a bench at college. Because for the first time, my ideas were not dismissed, not ignored, but supported. That's when I started a blog. At first, it was anonymous. Just text. Just thoughts. about what it's like to feel like you don't belong your whole life, about how hard it is to accept yourself when you've been told from childhood that you're not good enough. I wrote in the evenings, shared stories, mine and others, posted collages I made in programs, created images bright, alive, where anyone could be anyone, strong, vulnerable, real. The blog started gaining followers. Some wrote, "Thank you. I feel the same way." Others, "I thought I was the only one." And every comment was like a little ray of light, illuminating the dark room of my past. I didn't become confident right away. I still flinched when someone raised their voice. I still sought approval. But now there were people who supported me. And most importantly, I began to see something good in myself. Not through the lens of my mom's gaze, but through my own. Chicago wasn't just a city to me. It became a place where I was reborn. Where I started building myself not from the rubble, but from choice. And the most important thing I realized, I didn't have to be what others wanted me to be. I have the right to be myself, with all my imperfections, fears, and dreams. After graduating from college, I got a job at a marketing agency in downtown Chicago. An open space office, cold coffee, endless brand meetings. At first glance, a dream, but inside, it was a cage, just with Wi-Fi and corporate emails. My ideas? Too niche. Too alternative. Too sad. One day, I suggested launching a campaign for a clothing brand featuring real people with acne, freckles, crooked teeth. The creative director, with perfectly styled hair and a face like it had been filtered 3 times, looked at me and said, "We sell dreams, Ava, not depression." And that's when something inside broke. I remembered how I spent hours searching for foundation that wouldn't turn my face into a mask. How on the packaging there were always those perfect, shiny, nothing like me. And I realized, if I can't be perfect, maybe I can be real. I quit, without a clear plan, no investors, just a notebook of ideas and a folder of references. I decided I would create my own brand. Cosmetics for people like me. For those who were once told, "You're not made for the camera." It was a crazy risk. I lived off my savings. Worked as a barista in the mornings. And in the evenings, at home, at the table, I mixed the first samples with organic ingredients. Hypoallergenic, honest. I named the brand Bare and True. My first product, a tinted lip balm with light coverage that didn't hide your face, but highlighted its vitality. On the packaging, not models, but my friends, with their skin, their eyes, their stories. I launched the website, set up Instagram, and silence. 0 orders. 5 likes, 3 of which were from Maya and my former college roommate. Then, a call from my mom. "I saw your website," she said with that syrupy, mocking tone. "You're at it again? Cosmetics for the imperfect?" "Sweetie, who's gonna buy that?" "This isn't a game, this is business." I clenched the phone so hard my knuckles turned white. But all I said was, "I'll try, at least once on my own terms." After the call ended, I stared out the window for a long time. At dirty, springtime Chicago. At people rushing by in raincoats. And thought, maybe she's right? But then, I saw a comment. Just one. From a girl in Texas. "I ordered your tint, because I'm tired of seeing faces that all look the same everywhere. Thank you for doing this." And I cried. Because I realized, I don't need to win everyone over. I just need to be needed by someone. By those who feel forgotten. Those who, like me, once hid from mirrors. This was only the beginning. Nothing is guaranteed yet. But for the first time in my life, I was doing something I wasn't ashamed of. And for the first time, not for my mom's approval, not for strangers' likes, but for myself. 2 years passed. 2 years of sleepless nights, packing orders by hand, tears over spreadsheets where the numbers just refused to add up to a profit. But then it happened. One short TikTok video. My friend Sammy filmed me applying our glowing cream on a girl with rosacea. The caption was simple. "Skincare that doesn't try to fix you." The video blew up. I went to bed 2,000 views. Woke up 1.3 million. Comments. "Where can I buy this?" Finally. I'm 38, and this is the first time I feel seen. I couldn't believe it. The website crashed. More orders came in within 3 hours than in the entire first year. A couple of weeks later, I got a message from Glow, an independent women's magazine. They asked for an interview. And then, they put me on the cover. Me. With my nose, my eyes, no Photoshop. And then a flood. Features in Bustle, Refinery 29, even Forbes wrote an article. How a bootstrapped brand became the voice of a filter-free generation. I got calls from young makeup artists. Messages from women over 60. Thank you for reminding me I'm still beautiful. And my mom? She was silent. No call. No message. No, I'm proud of you. Not even I saw you in the magazine. I didn't know what I expected. But inside, something still fluttered. Because this was my moment. My real, hard-earned moment. And she ignored it. Instead of support, she liked a post by my cousin who won a photo contest in Florida. As if everything I do is just a game, a passing hobby I'll grow out of. But you know what? For the first time in a long time, I didn't need her approval. I sat in my small office, surrounded by boxes of products and letters from customers, and I felt I did it. No pretense. No outside validation. With pain, but with faith in myself. And maybe that's what growing up really is. When you no longer wait for applause from those who always look down on you. It was an ordinary morning. I was drinking coffee, checking on an order for a batch of packaging delayed again. I opened LinkedIn and almost dropped my mug. A connection request. From my mom. I reread it 3 times. Yes, it was definitely her. The same profile she had created 4 appearances years ago and never touched. A photo from an office, a neat title, Senior Executive, 20+ years experience. But now, under her name, the status open to work. I clicked accept because, well, curiosity got the better of me. A few minutes later, a message arrived. Straight to the point. Hi dear, I saw your business. Congratulations on your success. My company closed. I'm thinking about my next steps. Maybe you need help? I could be your consultant. I have a lot of experience. I sat staring at the screen, feeling like someone had shoved me in the chest. No apologies. No words about the past. Not a hint that she ever reconsidered how she treated me all those years. Just, I have experience. Experience what? Belittling? Comparing? Laughing when I believed in myself? I remembered when she said, "You look tired, maybe you just weren't meant to be beautiful." Or when she laughed hearing about my blog. Does anyone even read that? And now, as if none of it ever happened. She just wrote. No shame, no context, no heart. I wanted to be angry. I wanted to reply sharply, lay it all out. But instead, I closed the laptop and went for a walk. Because inside there was a storm. On one side, she's my mother. On the other, a person who caused pain for years. A person who never once acknowledged it. That evening, I opened my laptop again. Replied briefly. Thank you for your message. I'm not looking for consultants right now. I hope you find the right opportunity. No anger, no passive aggression. Just a boundary. And you know what? I felt light. Not because I stabbed back, but because I chose myself. I don't have to carry the past with me. I don't have to heal someone who won't even try to apologize. And maybe that is real strength. The ability not to seek revenge, but to move forward with dignity. After my mom reached out to me, I felt like I was standing at a crossroads. Memories flooded in like a wave. Those years when I was a teenager, and every look, every word of hers cut through my heart. How she laughed at me when I tried to look beautiful. How I was constantly shamed for my weight, my clothes, for who I was. I remember how sometimes I wanted to do something drastic, a beautiful revenge. To show everyone that I became successful, and she didn't. To pour out all the pain, all the anger, all the resentment in one loud strike. But I'm no longer that girl with a wounded heart. I'm someone else now. Stronger. More resilient. Yet, the inner conflict wouldn't let go. One evening, I finally booked a session with a therapist I had been postponing for a long time. I told her everything about my childhood, about my mom, about the pain and betrayal. And she said something that stuck in my mind like a guiding star. You are not obligated to be a bridge to the person who burned you. Taking care of yourself is not selfish, it's survival. It was like a liberation. I no longer need to try to fix her, justify her, or even expect anything good from her. I can protect myself. Protect my heart, my energy, my peace. I realized that forgiveness doesn't necessarily mean permission to endure pain. It's a decision to let go of the burden. And if I forgive, it's not for her. It's for me. Because I deserve peace inside. This is not an easy path. A path where you have to face your pain and fears. But I'm ready to walk it. I am stronger than ever. And this strength is my true victory. When I received the last message from my mom, the one where she asked for a job, I already knew how I would respond. Not impulsively, not in anger, but with dignity. I typed out the message and reread it many times in drafts before hitting send. We have no vacancies, but I wish you good luck. Simple words, but inside me a whole world. I didn't allow myself to add reproaches or resentment. No justifications, just the truth, short and clear. But my mom's reply didn't take long. She wrote in anger, with accusations, insults, trying again to hurt me. Old pain, old habit shifting responsibility onto me. Instead of getting drawn into this cycle, I stayed silent. Not because I was afraid or weak, on the contrary, because I felt strong. Silence became my shield, my boundary, my freedom. I realized I don't need to explain myself, prove my worth, or justify who I am and what I've done. Silence is my victory. It's my independence. It's my world. Because sometimes the strongest response to someone's pain and anger is no response at all. And I made a choice. Not to give up and not to play their game. But to walk my own path with pride and dignity. My freedom begins here. And I know ahead of me lies much more than I ever imagined. After everything that happened, I realized one important thing. Family isn't always about those connected to you by blood. Family is those who choose you, who accept you just as you are. When I first joined my new team, it felt like a whole different world. Different people, different stories, different perspectives, different generations. There were young people fresh out of college and others with decades of experience, with wrinkles and gray hair. And it's not just a team, it's my new family. We laugh together, support each other, and aren't afraid to be real. No one here hides their emotions or hesitates to smile on camera, even after a tough day. I remember at the first team building event, standing in a circle and looking at those faces, and I realized, finally, I'm home. Here, no one judges by appearance. No one passes harsh verdicts. No one evaluates you by your looks or age. What matters here is what's inside you. My new colleagues aren't just coworkers, they're friends. With them, I can talk about everything: work, fears, dreams. And they support me like no one ever did before. We celebrate successes together and learn from mistakes. In our family, there's no room for judgment or betrayal. And you know, that truly changes your life. Because when you're accepted and valued, when you feel your voice is heard, you grow, you bloom. And I want everyone listening to understand this. Family isn't about blood or genetics. Family is about love, support, and the choice to be together. You're never alone if you find your true family. And I've found mine. I'm looking straight into the camera because I want you to hear me. If those who were supposed to love you, your mom, your family, your closest people, were ashamed of you, laughed at your appearance, made you feel like you're not enough, know this: you are still worthy of acceptance. Not from them, but first and foremost, from yourself. The most important thing is that you give yourself that right. The right to be yourself. The right to love yourself no matter what. Because our pain is not a sentence. It does not define our worth. It is not something that breaks our destiny forever. Pain is experience. Sometimes heavy, sometimes unfair. But it is through pain that we grow stronger, wiser, and learn to see ourselves truly. I spent years thinking my appearance was the problem. That if I'm not like everyone else, if I have flaws, I won't be loved. I'll be rejected. I won't be taken into the team. I won't be heard. But now I know, my appearance is not the problem. The problem was their attitude. And it's no longer my burden to carry. I chose freedom, the freedom to love myself and live the way I want, not the way others want. And if right now you feel pain, if words have hurt you, if you think you're not accepted, remember, it's not your fault. It's not your weakness. It's just part of the journey. And you are so much more than your pain. You deserve happiness. You deserve love. You deserve respect first and foremost from yourself. I believe in you, and I want you to believe in yourself. My story isn't about fear and pain. It's about strength and choice. About how each of us can be the hero of our own life. So if you feel pushed away, judged, unaccepted, don't stay silent. Speak up, write it down, share. Because your story is your weapon and your power. I no longer sit in the shadows. I'm no longer afraid to be myself. And you can do the same.